My turn to talk. So let's start with the workshop. First of all, if you have any questions during this workshop, you can raise your hand on Zoom. I prefer if you just talk because I'll be screen sharing and this can be a little bit difficult to manage. But just interrupt me, that's okay. Make questions. We will also have a time specifically for questions in the end. I am chair from UNICEF, but that doesn't mean that all of your questions regarding how to do a position paper cannot be applied to the delegates of WHO. So don't make it just because I am from UNICEF, I can only answer UNICEF, the delegates from UNICEF. But without further ado, let's start our workshop. And since this is a beginner committee, it is important to explain to you what is a position paper. I don't know how many of you have actually been in an MUN before or an MUN debate, but a position paper is what is written in the slide. Actually, it is a summary of the country you're representing, of the external politics of the country you're representing. So it's international relations and how come it is related to the topic. It is a document. It is like a paper. You know, from faculty, we do little papers regarding a theme. And sometimes they are big. This, you don't have to make it more of 1-2 pages. Don't have to write a 30-page about your country and the committee. That's okay. This should be simple and summarized about why are you there, why is your country there, why is the topic important to you, and why and what is your relation with the committee, basically. So why are you in UNICEF, why are you because you were all part of the United Nations, so you're all part of UNICEF or WHO. But just try to elaborate a little bit more. We'll talk about it later. But basically, it's a paper where you talk about your position. It is in the name. The position paper is very, and I emphasize it, it's very important because it's not only an efficient document that we chairs will be evaluating. So you have the deadlines to send us your first draft. We will send you a feedback and then you'll send the final version. But it's also very important to the debate itself. Since it is something that and if I'm not wrong, all of the position papers, when they are done, they will be available for all delegates of that committee to read, because this is what your fellow delegates believe in and what they basically what their position are. So it is very important to know what other positions, so another delegation that has the same issue as you, or it has the same solution perhaps. And this is not only, so that's why I'm saying it's not only important because we will be evaluating this, but it's also important because this will help you make allies and make a solution in the end, because that's what the committees are for, to make to create a solution to that problem. And it is also very important because you do a research to do your position paper, and with the more you spend on a position paper, the more you care about it, the better it is, and the better you'll be prepared to your debate, to the debate. So the better, if you want, the better you spend with, I'm not telling you to spend all of your time in the position paper. just try to take care of it and do a great job, because it will help you so much to know your position on I don't know, the topics of the study guide. And if you have a problem, or if you have a delegation that disagrees with you and the committee is a little bit off, then you studied a lot about your delegation, and your delegation, when I say delegation, it means country, not LSL, not Nova School of Law, not Lisbon, okay? Just to clarify. But when you study a lot, you know your country's position and you start thinking like it. So it's a tip that I also do. And we will be evaluating your position paper, not only for the criteria you need to follow, that we will be talking a little bit more later in this session, but also the use of your creativity. So don't just copy and paste. Try to reformulate the phrases and try to, what can you do with all the information you have? For example, I'm thinking about just an example for the WHO. We're in the pandemic and we have all the vaccines problems with the COVID. But the committee, if I'm not wrong, it's not only about COVID. So you can try to find new reports, and you can quote them in your position paper on how was this problem solved in other pandemics and other epidemics, other diseases, that and how vaccines are very important. In the child labor, for example, how is child labor a thing in your country, or why it shouldn't be basically why it shouldn't be a thing. Of course, as Mariana said, it is one of the main topics in the Sustainable Development Goals, but you need to use your creativity to propose solutions. This is more of the solutions matter on the creativity. So try to use your creativity to find new ways and explore your position as much as possible. And with this, you'll become a true delegate, a true diplomat of that country. You'll become the diplomat of Russia. You'll become the diplomat of the United States. You'll become the diplomat of Pakistan. It is so much fun. You'll have so much fun if you take this little work, I promise. Another tip that I have for you is that the position paper, again, it can be your guide also to your opening speeches. So, if you read the rules of procedure, if you didn't yet, you will have, and I think you will have access to this workshop as much as you can. So if you read the rules of procedure, then you wanted to come back to see our workshop, this will help you so much with your opening speeches. Take what you have with the position paper, summarize it in a 2-minute speech, but don't copy it. Take important aspects of your position paper that you think are important and summarize in a 2-minute, 1 minute and a half, 1 minute and a half, speech, and really focus on that. And then you have your opening speech done, because this is obligatory to you, opening speech, and this will help you so much. You will not spend your time trying to find new ways. So this is another tip that I will recommend you. Let me see, I have like a little thing to guide me so I don't feel lost. Yeah, for this one, what is the position paper? Our introduction, that's it. It's a paper, it's a document, you have all the information, but we'll talk about information. Right? Is it not working? Okay, So this is actually a little guide on what to search for the information you need. You should also ask yourself small questions to make your paragraphs and divide your information. Is your country a member of the committee, an organization? Did it sign treaties regarding the topic, for example, in the first part? The second part, the economic reasons. Focus on why you are important to the topic in an economic perspective. Try to focus on the GDP, especially UNICEF. Try to focus on the GDP. If your country has child labor, what is the aspect that it brings to the economy? In WHO, why is a vaccine important for the economic increase, etc. Passing on to a national issue, or basically what has your country done to in the past years related to the topic. So has it taken any actions on the security, health, education, infrastructure, etc., etc.? How did it manage other pandemics in WHO? If it had child labor, or does it have any laws regarding child labor in UNICEF? Try to focus on that specifically. Yeah, that is. And the last one, of course, sorry, the camera was blocking. The entrenched values. What are the entrenched values that may interfere in the questions the committee is debating? I don't think that, it's my personal view, you can find something if your specific country has something, but I don't think that these two committees, I think it's way better because there are not strong values that can be an obstacle to a solution. But if you have it, of course, bear in mind, and this is your research, this does not mean you should have everything that is here in your position paper. This is important to understand your position, of course, and to start filtrating all of the information. This is something that I do. I always make a brainstorm, like a bulleted list with all the issues that you see here. And to clarify my ideas, to see, I write it down and then I can see exactly. So I begin drawing and making all of that, all of the notes to see exactly what I want to have in my position paper. This is it. Passing on to more of, again, more less abstract of what you should have and what should you know before making your position paper. And for the conference, this is also tips for the conference in general. You should know, of course, your country position, maybe other states that are aligned with your interests. For example, of course, European Union, or if you're in UNICEF, you have the ASEAN, which is the Association of Southeast Asian nations. Yeah, Asian. You can talk about Asian, you can talk about European Union, you can talk about, Mercosur, if you are in Latin America and you're part of Mercosur. If it is important to you, the topic, of course. And then you need to know your committee. For that, I'll give it a big shout out to the study guide. Both of the study guides have a explanation about the committee, and you can also find this as international organizations. They are really easy to find. I mean, UNICEF is not an organization, it's a fund, but they are easy to to find information regarding the committee, and they are crucial because you'll know what you can and what you cannot do. For example, of course, if you have a country that it is refusing to stop child labor or refusing to vaccine people, you cannot send troops. You cannot send the peacekeepers, of course. So study, and this is important to the last part of the position paper, on your plausible solutions to the topic. So what you can do, what you cannot do, what are the committee's powers, that will reflect totally in your solution in the end of your position paper, and of course in the end of the conference. And again, relevant treaties, if they are reports, treaties, protocols, conventions, legislation, etc., etc., etc. We have this at the right, you have a little bit of what we'll have as the structure. So you need to have your name. Okay, so your name, you have your name of your country. You can tell, is it in Asia, for example. This is important, of course, for UNICEF, because it is, look, it is for Asia, but you're in Asia. If you are Russia, for example, you're in half of Asia and half of Europe. Are you in Europe? Are you in I don't know, are you in America? You can talk a little bit about it. Make a brief, but very brief, how can I say this? I forgot the word, I'm sorry. Yeah, tell a little bit about your political regime, but just briefly, like it's a democracy, whatever. What more can I have? Your current leader, you can say it, of course. This is very fun. I always like to give a little references to political leaders, especially if they are very very famous in the international relations. I like to do a little bit of that theater part of MUNs, but again, try to be serious, as you are the representative of that country, and so you want people to believe you and believe that you are right. And then, okay, of course, economic, political, military influence in the committee. You can talk about a little bit of the committee, etc., etc., etc. This is just a little guide, but we have a bigger guide coming up, I think, in the next slide. Does anyone have a question yet, or do you want? Am I taking? If you have, again, I ask you to just open your microphones. You don't have to be with the camera on. That's okay. Just open your microphones and ask me. We'll have, again, that last part to questions, but feel free, of course. Passing on to where can I find that information? So you heard me saying lots and lots of informations you may have, and I'm not saying you must have, but it is a must. It's not obligatory, but it is a must. Where can you find this information? You're maybe a little bit off, like, oh my god, it's so much information. Where can I find this? So again, Study Guide has a lot of information for you to find. It is there to help you understand the topic. International treaties and conventions, the United Nations, you have the website here. The United Nations has so much information regarding anything, you can always find it, and it's very easy to find. And I promise you can find lots and lots of information in the UN website, in the treaties website, in the committee website, in the whole UN website, in English, in Portuguese, in Spanish, in French, in Arabic. I don't know what language do you speak, but the more you speak, the better. I know, I think everyone in this present speaks at least 2 languages, so just Portuguese and English. So great. um, this the fourth part, which is news and NGOs. Why should you be careful with? Because news, especially news, they tend to add a little bit more to the information. You know how news tend to be. So it is very, use it with caution, but don't refrain from using it. What I always tell delegates or tell my friends when they are part of MUN, and what I do when I'm a delegate at MUN, is that I search for news in media websites that are recurrent as members of the press of a conference. For example, BBC, Al Jazeera, Le Monde, New York Times, etc. It's just that because they are very current in MUNs, I personally, and I speak for myself, I personally have a security on researching with these papers. NGOs, why should you be careful? Again, they tend to have more of a criticism, and they tend to criticize a lot. And sometimes when you have, like, if you want to see in a law perspective, it is not the great way to do it. So, but it's very important, of course, of reports. You can always introduce them to the debates, and it's just that try to use it with caution, but don't refrain from using it. Best Delegate is a website that I like very much. They have loads of tips. You can download actually guides of them on how to write a position paper, on how to be the best delegate. I personally use it. I adore it. And so I thought it would be a great idea to show it to you, of course. And the last one in this is that you can actually contact embassies, consulates, and diplomatic offices. I never did it, but I know lots of people who have done it, and they are very, very, very polite and will try to help you as much as they can. They might take a little time to answer you, of course, but don't feel free to reach out to them. I know they can help, and they will be glad to help. We were talking lots about the information you need, but let's focus now on how to do it, the structure. Again, you can have like 4 or 5 paragraphs. This is not obligatory, the number of paragraphs. You can write as much as you can, but try to keep it in 1-2 pages, because it will be very difficult for you to write more than 3 pages about it, the topic, without copying and pasting it. It will be difficult for us chairs to read it and give you feedbacks. So try to summarize it as much as you can and really show that you know without using a lot of words, basically. So in the first paragraph, you have the whole contextualization. So your country, where is it located? Why is it related to the topic? what is the role of the committee, especially. You can give a little hint on your position. For example, I'll give, I don't think this will work in any of the committees here, but if you're talking about, I don't know, a problem regarding gender-based violence, and you are a country who has this as a law, for example, you can hint your position in this case, even it, or you have legislation regarding it. You can just hint, like, the treaties you signed. This is the best part, I think, to tell a bit about the treaties you signed, or if you're part, especially of Asian or the European Union, what have you done as international associations to resolve the topic on, yeah, just slightly interposition. And then you pass it especially to your country, and now you will focus on your position very well. All of the don't tell of the treaties, because you will take a lot of paragraph, a big part of the paragraph to write it, but try to find where you can solve your problem. What is your country doing to solve the problem, or is it does it have the problem, or does it have a problem that can be compared to the topic. For example, if you have child labor, but it's not in the fashion industry, what do I recommend you? Write it down, but don't make it a spotlight. Make it for example, child labor. Make it a spotlight on child labor. What are the main issues, and what are the main issues regarding the enterprises, the fashion chains, etc., etc., etc. Who, again, you can talk about COVAX, the new, I think it's COVAX, the name, about that new thing that WHO is doing to help the countries who cannot afford vaccines to end the pandemic. You can talk about that, on how did you help it, for example, if you did help it, or how this program helped you. On the other hand, you specifically talk about your country and the topic. This is the part to talk about all of this. 2 paragraphs, 1 paragraph, 3 paragraphs, perhaps, you choose. But it's very important to clarify your position, and don't write it too much. Don't copy and paste, please. don't copy and paste. Find your opinions, your positions, and rewrite it, basically. Then you pass to resolutions, which are, you hinted your position, you developed your position, and now it's time to close that cycle with a summarize of your position. So if that thing about gender-based violence, come back. If you're totally against, you can talk a little bit about how you were against in the first paragraph. In the second and third paragraph, you actually talk about laws you did, about international treaties that you signed, protocols, etc., etc., etc. If you were a part of something that helped with this issue, and in the end you just say, I am against blah blah blah. Just close the idea, basically. And then this is the part to bring the committee and the topic more together than ever, because this is where you will present possible solutions. This will help you in the last day of the conference, of course, on writing a solution. This will help you with your ideas. This will help you, I don't know, maybe propose an email to the UN on the matter. It could happen, of course. But this will help you in all ways. You propose ideas on the solutions. For example, in WHO, what have we learned with the COVID pandemic and the distribution of vaccines, and what should you do? Again, the UNICEF, how can you stop child labor? Are there countries that stopped child labor? Does your country did something to end child labor? And how can we do it as fast as 1 year to 2022? And how can we talk about it more specifically in the fashion industry, in the fashion and garment industry? This is the whole structure of a position paper. Let's talk a little bit now about what you should do and what you should not do. Let's start with, of course, the positive ones. What you should do, and this also applies, of course, to the whole committee in general. This interpret it as the whole committee in general and all of the ideas you may have. Demonstrate you know your international policy very well. So you can use Wikipedia, that's okay, we all use it, but try to find other ways. I know China, for those who are China has lots of information in their embassies websites, and you can find, like, I found their constitution in the website of their embassy in Qatar. So just Google 2-3 pages, you find all the information you need. But again, please don't search in not very good websites. Of course, try to keep it in official statements to actually know your international policy. If you have a problem finding your international policy, find other positions that they had with similar topics. And this is if they never spoke about the problem, this is something that I know chairs will valorize very much. Very much, because it shows that you are interested in knowing exactly your position and making a good job. Try to relate the topic, country, community all together. Of course, why is your country there? This is easily for UNICEF, because we have lots of Asian countries, of course, because the topic is in Asia. But if you are in a country like Brazil, why are you there? Try to find the executive members of UNICEF and what are their purposes. You can I found a budget, actually. This is all online. You'll find it easily, I swear. Not that easily, perhaps, but you will find it. It will not be hard to find a relation between the topic / committee to your representation. Establish your goals for the final resolution. Of course, if you couldn't think of a specific solution, what are the goals you want to see? So what do you want to see in the end? I have no idea what you're thinking, and I don't want to give wrong ideas to the delegates, but just think of, so I'm not giving you examples to the both committee for both of the committees, but try to think of goals. For example, if you want to, yeah, I'm giving a random example. Try to focus on the Sustainable Development Goals and what they've done, what the UN has done to implement them, and yeah, just set goals. If you can think of a specific solution, and that, of course, it is with the last one, the Art Together propose solutions. If you can find one, propose your goals, just adapt it, and you can, the solutions could be, oh, I'm friends and my country has established the law to end child labor, so we should make a campaign on countries to promote education, blah 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 blah. Oh, I am part of the COVAX, and we were very important to the COVID pandemic to send vaccines to the whole country to end the pandemic, and we should do this again, blah, 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 blah. Always inside the ambit of the committee powers. That's it. And what you not to do, please. And this is like the most important part of all this workshop, I swear. Get a topic, of course, but that resembles the main topic, but don't make it the main issue of the committee. Don't put it in the spotlight. For example, if you're talking about, think of an example that would not interfere in your positions. If you're in the General Assembly and you're talking about, oh yeah, you're talking about discrimination against indigenous people, and you have something similar, but it's with small communities. This is a random example, but you have the same issue regarding smaller communities. They are not indigenous, but it's the same issue in general. You can try to put it, of course, in your position paper, and you can, of course, talk about it in the committee, but don't make it a spotlight. Don't refrain of talking about the whole your committee. Basically, in WHO, an advice I would have to you is, do not focus only on COVID, because, as you know, we're about to end this pandemic. I hope we're about to end this pandemic. So try to make it more of a long term than a short term. It's one of the advices that I have. So don't make it a spotlight, something that can be related to the topic of the committee, but it's not the topic of the committee. Plagium, you should never, never, never copy something and paste. Never. And you know, we're all in a university. We all know how this works. So I will not be like a kindergarten professor to look up, but use your good senses and don't quote fake news, of course. I know there are some international leaders, and all of the time we all fall to fake news. This is almost inevitable, but this is what I talked about before. Try to find the most secure news and the most secure information you can to the topic. And this is basically international organizations. I can't find another one. Don't focus only on one of the aspects of the committee. Of course, find I don't know about WHO, but if I'm not wrong, UNICEF has like 4 or 5 topics regarding the issue. Try to find a solution, try to talk about all of those topics, and this is also a great advice for the draft resolution in the end, because this is all a path to the draft resolution, basically. From the position paper to the debate to the approval of a resolution. Try to focus on all of the aspects of the committee, all of the topics in the study guide. Don't talk only about, I don't know, access to education in UNICEF when you have the industries, when you have the human rights violations, etc., etc. Do not read the study guide, nor only read the study guide before writing the position paper. Of course, the study guide is fundamental to the committee. It summarizes all of the information you need to have, but it does not have all of the information you can find. So this is not obligatory. The other ones, I would say, have a huge negative effect if you do it. This will have a positive effect if you do not do it. So this is something that me as a chair would love to see all of the delegates in my committee to do. Not only read our study guide, but find other study guides. And there are lots of study guides in the internet regarding the issue. Try to read reports, read other organizations like UNICEF. You can read a lot of international labor organization. They have lots and lots of information. Find it as much as you can. Don't read only the study guide. Try to broaden your horizon. And with that, this is all I had to say regarding the position paper. And I now open for questions. Feel free to ask. There are no stupid questions. So does anyone have any questions?
I do have one, and I do think it's kind of stupid. But for example, I have a country that has been accused of utilizing child labor, which is one of the topics. So I still haven't researched because I did not have the time, but I doubt that I will find like any convincing evidence that the country in itself uses child labor. But we, as common knowledge, know that it happens. So what exactly should I do?
This is actually a great question, and thank you so much for posing it, because it's something that it is very common to all of polemic maybe allegations, and for my personal view is that what you should do, if you don't have any evidence on if the country uses child labor officially, then this is one of the arguments you may use. You don't have an official way of proving me that I use it, so don't accuse me of that. And the other way, I would try to, as a good international leader, as a good diplomat, you should always try to avoid the question and talk about how child labor, you can, in the end, we will all have all of the delegations will have something that maybe a hypocrite, but just try to manage the question on defending that you do not have child labor, or if your country has, we're talking about a country, for example, a country that has child labor, acknowledges that, but has an issue with ending it. You can try to say, okay, I have child labor, but I need help ending it because I'm not, I cannot find a way to do it myself. Or if you don't have any evidence, you just say you don't have any evidence, but if there is, we'll do our best, etc., etc., etc. This is more of a persuasive way of debating, but it is what it is. Basically. I hope I answered the question.
It was a great answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? No? Well, seeing none, my job here is done. And thank you so much for coming to our workshop. I hope you had a great time and you learned a lot. If you have any questions, especially UNICEF, you can send us an email. Me and Mariana will read it and of course answer you as much as we can. If you have any questions in WHO, I'm sure Lucas and Diogo can help you. Of course they can. And I'm really glad with with the conference. Really happy with the conference, and I hope to see you all in Lisbon. I think we're all from Lisbon, but for those who are watching us after the workshop, I hope to see you all in Lisbon in July. That's it. Thank you.